This is Rob Tebbutt for Boxing News, and it is my pleasure to be joined by the former undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, the one and only Lennox Lewis. We are here for Anthony Joshua, Daniel Dubois fight week, but first and foremost, Lennox, always a pleasure to catch up with you. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks for, you sound like a big announcer when you mention me. It's like I've got a lot of accolades behind my name. Thank you.
You're very welcome. What do you think of a potential future career for me as a ring announcer?
Yes, absolutely, for sure.
How you doing, Lennox? I mentioned to you briefly before we started, you're looking very healthy, you're looking very young, you're looking very relaxed. What have you been up to?
It's all about that sunshine. Staying in the sunshine, it's good for the skin.
Good. I have to try it sometimes. As you can see, not too much sunshine in my recent past. Anyway, let's talk about the fight. Of course, we are here for Anthony Joshua versus Daniel Dubois. We love a great British dust-up, two Brits slugging it out for the heavyweight title. Of course, you have experience of that in the past. You excited for the fight this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, I've been there, done that, and I know what it takes when it comes to British fights because, you know, even the guy that you think that's going to win may not win because the other guy's been sitting in the background and, you know, he wants to that glory as well. He wants to be in that position, and he may feel that, nobody's looking at me. And, they're looking at the number one guy and this and that. So, there's a lot of things going through each boxer's mind. And, if you look at Anthony Joshua, he's probably thinking, oh, this guy's trying to take my space. I've always been here. He can't take my space. He's my old sparring partner. So, I know about him already. That type of thing. So a lot of mental in the sport of boxing and a lot of mental going into different fights. And for these two guys, they're definitely focused.
Just expand on that a little bit. You mentioned the mental side of things. Anthony Joshua now with a new training team with Ben Davison. It seems to be kind of the general feeling is that he may have tapped into, quote unquote, the old AJ. You'd have been very impressed with his recent performances. What have you made of them?
Yeah, I think, Anthony Joshua's grown as a boxer. He's been through the trials and tribulations. So right now I see a very positive, focused Anthony Joshua. Him having Ben Davis in his corner as well is good for him because Ben's all about the mental and it's all about what he can take from Ben. If he can take the knowledge that Ben comes with and put that into the ring and come out victorious.
This is the first time that we've seen Anthony Joshua in with, I think it's fair to say, a legitimate puncher in the heavyweight division for quite a number of years, Lennox. How does that change the dimensions this weekend? Anthony Joshua going in with someone in Daniel Dubois who can really, really punch.
Yeah, Anthony Joshua's been hungry, starving for this type of competition for a while, and he's finally got it. So I think he welcomes it. I think he's looking for an opportunity to display his talents against a legitimate fighter.
Now, in your storied career, you kind of made a point of going at the puncher, putting the puncher under pressure, pushing the puncher back. Is that what we need to see from Anthony Joshua this weekend, or will that potentially put him in the line of fire?
Well, I don't know what their thought is going into the fight, but that would be the proper thought going into the fight, securing, your jab, making your jab work for you to open up your opponent, and then start throwing your combinations that and you want to throw.
Daniel Dubois comes into this fight in probably the form of his career. It was about 12 months ago. He good showing against Alexander Usyk, admittedly coming up short, but then has two brilliant wins over Jarrell Miller and Filip Hrgovic. You know better than anybody how important momentum can be, particularly in the heavyweight division. Daniel Dubois comes into this fight as a real threat on Saturday, doesn't he?
He does. Like I said, he's number two in Britain in a sense, and he doesn't want to be number two. That's how people look at him. And people look at him as the underdog. And I know if I was in that position, how I would be feeling, because I was in that position, where, I'm going in against Frank Bruno and I'm going in against Gary Mason, and these guys are saying, oh, the fight's too early for me. And, they don't think I'll win it because of, the other two guys are popular. And mentally, I was saying to myself, why do they think this way? Why did this think this way? I'm going to go in and prove them all wrong. And after the fight, I'm going to take all their fans. I'm going to take all of Bruno's fans and let them know that I'm the guy that's going for the undisputed. So be behind me.
I've seen Anthony Joshua in the past. Of course, he had that night with Andy Ruiz in Madison Square Garden where he was stopped in quite emphatic fashion. It seems as though since then we've seen different versions of Anthony Joshua. At times he's been tentative, at times he's been aggressive. How important is it for Daniel Dubois to really stick it on him and make him think about those nights all of those years ago?
Yeah, Daniel Dubois this is his chance. You know, it's come up. This is the chance to go or don't go. This is the chance where you are heavyweight champion of the you're the heavyweight champion of the world, or you're not. So this is the fight where, you know, although you got given a belt, now you have to defend it. So are you the real champ or are you not? So all these questions will be out there and they will be answered this Saturday.
Mentioned earlier, Alexander Usyk, of course, defeated both Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois, and of course, Tyson Fury back in May to become the undisputed heavyweight champion. Of course, the first that we've seen since your good self many moons ago. First and foremost, what did you make of his performance against Tyson Fury?
I thought his performance was great. I thought what he said and how he prepared for the fight was 100%. You know, this was like war to him. His country's at war, so he's at war. And he proved it in the fight. I mean, he never let up for a second. He was there all over Tyson Fury. Even though Tyson Fury was bouncing against the ropes, he was still there.
We're, of course, a matter of a few months away from the rematch, or the proposed rematch. What does Tyson Fury need to do in the rematch that he potentially didn't do first time around if he is going to avenge that loss?
I think he needs to take the fight a lot serious, you know, secure his job. I like him a little heavier, whether, you know, he feels that works for him or not. But, you know, I would like him a little heavier and, you know, working behind the jab.
One of the things that came out from that fight I'm keen to talk to you about is, of course, in the corner you've got Sugar Hill Stewart, nephew, of course, your former trainer, the great Emmanuel Stewart. Also had Andy Lee, another Kronk disciple, as it were. But you had John Fury as well. There seemed to be a lot of different voices in that corner. Just your opinion on that as somebody who's obviously boxed and competed at the highest level. Is that ideal? Is that something that needs to be looked at for the rematch?
There's a couple things with that, right? So when you're boxing and there's a voice always there with you, it's usually your trainer's voice. But if he's had his trainer and his father and different people will stick out. Different voices will stick out to you. You'll know your father's voice. You'll know the trainer's voice. But which information sticks in your head? That's the problem. So if he's got a different information in his head, that will create a problem. So I always go for the one guy speaks first. Manny's the one guy in my corner. He's the only one to speak. Unless he says, you know, say something to him, or, you know, Harold, say something to him, you know, then Harold would come in and say something. But Harold would not say nothing unless Manny says something.
I just mentioned that Alexander Usyk, of course, the undisputed, or former now undisputed champion, boxing politics, no longer the IBF champion, of course, established himself as the standout heavyweight of this era. How do you think Alexander Usyk would have done in your era, the era of Lennox Lewis, Riddick Bowe, Evander Holyfield, Mike Tyson? How do you think he would have done against you and your contemporaries? I
would have to compare him to Evander Holyfield, and I think he would have done very well. Very well. I don't think he would have lasted against me, because, you know, I throw a mean uppercut in there, and I noticed he gets caught with uppercuts. So he wouldn't have been able to stand up to my uppercuts.
Last quick couple for me. I do appreciate your time. I know you're a very popular man around these parts when you come around here, Lennox. Somebody I want to talk to you about, your old mate, Mike Tyson, returning to the ring at the ripe old age of, I believe, 58 or 59 years of age. Your opinion on that, of course, as somebody who, you know, you've been rivals with Mike, you've known Mike for many years. A lot of people concerned about him returning to the ring against Jake Paul.
What are they concerned about?
Being, you know, of a certain vintage, should we say, should he be getting hit in the head by, admittedly, you know, not a conventional boxer, but still a young, physically fit, athletic man?
Yeah, I mean, Mike Tyson knows how to defend himself, and he's boxing against a guy that not as good as boxer as he is, and Mike Tyson knows how to throw a good punch. He knows how to break you down. So I'm more concerned about the other guy than Mike Tyson.
Would you ever do that? Any amount of money get Lennox Lewis out of retirement?
Oh, it depends on what the price is.
Okay, let's round it off with the final word on the main event this Saturday, live on TNT Sports Box Office. Anthony Joshua versus Daniel Dubois. How does it end?
It ends. It's going to be an epic fight. Both guys can blast. They can throw great punches. They're right hand heavy. Both of them are right hand heavy. But first, they got to line it up with the jab. So it's whoever establishes their jab first will establish the win.
You heard it here first. No guy tests the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, Lennox Lewis. Thanks very much for speaking to Boxing News. Always a pleasure. Look forward to catching up with you soon.
Pleasure. Bless.